So our discussion looking at leveraging the cloud for business transformation. We're gonna be joined now by two customers, and then we're gonna invite David and Gustavo to come back. But we're happy to welcome the Chief Technology Officer, Cornerstone, Mr. Harry Campbell. Yes, Harry, you can come up now that they've set the chairs. Welcome. And also Irfan Sajil, Director of Enterprise Infrastructure, Playa Hall, Jamaica Resort. Welcome. Now the clapping can fade away now, you know. I know we've been going a while, you know. Yeah, and let's welcome Ondell Williams, the Chief Information Officer of Info Exchange. And then we'll invite back David Sangster and Gustavo to join us as well. All right, well, I don't know. You can sit because we're not going to sing. You guys standing up with the mic as if this is a boy band and we're about to, let's see if it's going to make it taller. No, all right. So I will start with the customers first. And then since we've heard from the, the experts, David and Gustavo, and I know Ondell has some expertise to add as well, but I want to start with the customers. And I'll go first to Harry and ask you, what was the business issue you were trying to solve when you, my word now, stumbled upon Nutanix and found that it was the right solution for you?
Testing.
Oh, okay.
Just making sure you can hear me, yes?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right, so we were at a point where the
I think you might have to hold
team,
up a little bit more, yes.
yeah, where the Barita team led by Kamal needed to upgrade the infrastructure. And we're dabbling around with the hypervisor VMware before, and we were not getting the maximum benefit from it. So we started doing some research as to what is the best next step prior to our grand entrance into the cloud. And once we saw what Nutanix was doing with the hyperconverged technology, especially as as David introduced it to us, a data center in a box. We can scale, we can add our DR. So way more flexible than trying to manage that architecture yourself without the Nutanix. So we saw that as the mechanism to move forward. And that is now running in our data centers. Importantly, as we saw from the presentation today, now we are confirming that that is the right choice, because different from just leveraging our own access to our data centers and our partner data centers, we now can see the flexibility and the path to merge our cloud infrastructure into what we already have. So yeah, that's how we ended here.
Okay, so David presented the data center in a box, and that really got you going there. Okay, so Irfan, right? Gustavo alluded to the fact that we probably don't think much about hospitality or hotel in particular as a 24-hour space, but how does it with I suppose that sort of always on nature that you need something to support you all the time? Compare that to us. So we talk about the bank, and we understand that some government services need to be on all the time. How does that compare to your business? Okay, 1 second, let me see if it's on. There you go.
Yeah, I think hospitality is 24/7, 365 days a year. Operation needs to be there for all the services. Every year we need to be operating 24/7 basically, right? So, and more technology is coming towards the hospitality sector. From you can, in the room, basically you have your IPTV, IP phone services, which needs to be up and running all the time. That makes us make sure we need to have that services up and running 24/7 basically.
And so what was your introduction to Nutanix?
For us, it was more about simplicity and making it flexible. Like Gustavo has mentioned about the choices that Nutanix has given us, the flexibility that Nutanix has given us. Those are some of the points that we needed, and that helped us deploy those technologies for us.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about some of your plans. I'm taking a question from one of our guests today, and top issue, and I think maybe anyone can respond to this. Keeping up with the increasing demand for storage. They have to, and having full visibility of all IT assets. So that's a top issue this company is facing. How would you help them to find a way to the solution? I don't, Ondel, you want to take that? We haven't heard from you. You're the only person who haven't heard from.
Please, Ondel. When it comes to storage, one of the things that, most troublesome to quite a bit of our customers is, how do I keep up with the volume of storage that I need, not only from day to day, but from year to year. And one of the problems that they had before is that if you're using traditional technology, then how do I also keep up with the performance requirements that my customers or my employees demand? So not only do you have a volume problem, or a capacity problem, but you also have a performance issue. So how do you solve both? Not just one or the other. Then you need a platform that allows you to actually have different storage services using software. Before, you used to say, okay, if I need a file server, I need to buy a NAS. If I need a file server, then I need to buy some Windows software, or I need to buy some a SAN to go along with it. So you have a NAS, you have a SAN, and then if I need to now do backups, I now need to have another platform which is separate to do my backups, to store my backups, and not only that, but to store it long term. So how do I achieve that where I can have all three in one? Gustavo actually showed the way. Nutanix Unified Storage. You need a platform built on software, because everything comes back to software, where you can have all services within just a single platform. That's the best way to go.
All right, so I hope that
If I may just add to that, storage has three main problems: performance, capacity, and cost. Okay, and so performance-wise, you want to run the right storage work on the right subsystem, right? Maybe you need block storage in some instances. Maybe you need files or something, need objects for those. Objects typically is low performance, lower cost, right? If, for example, you may want to back up to S3, right? So the notion of storage tiering is important. Right, you don't want to have your least access data on your SSDs and your high performing file system. That's a waste of money, right? So you have to sort of think about how to drive performance, the right sort of storage file system, how to drive capacity, where should I put the storage where it's cheapest, and sort of the cost where it makes sense to do. And Nutanix gives you sort of the storage tiering, gives you choice of storage subsystems so that you can balance all three on the same platform.
all right. So I hope but there was a question about full access to full visibility to all IT assets.
Visibility.
Yeah, that's a need that they have, or an issue they're trying to solve in the business, having full visibility of all IT assets.
Oh, all IT assets.
Well, I don't know if the person wants to offer up any
Elaborate on it.
Yeah,
additional
elaborate on
clarity,
that. Then
elaborate
we
a little bit.
can actually perform.
I'm not able, well, there was no name, and I hope the person is still in the room. Show yourself. It's fine, but we're gonna help.
Okay, let me try and do a little expansion. So if you're speaking about your applications, then you need a platform on which, a single platform on which your applications can actually run all your different applications. So whether it be your mission critical application or your everyday applications, your general applications. if you're talking about looking at my storage, then you need a platform that actually includes storage services. And if you're speaking about networking, then if you use software to virtualize your networking, then you have the ability to actually see that within a platform as well. So if you have a platform that combines your storage services, your networking services, your compute services, and of course provides, as Gustavo showed, database services, unified storage, and allows you to actually manage not only your on-premise cloud, but also extends to the public cloud, all through a single console, then in that manner, you will actually have a single portal or console through which you can actually see and manage your entire data center. So hopefully that answers the question.
I hope so too, since the person didn't really identify themselves, but thank you. Oh, you have a question? Can you just run to that mic right there? Right here, there's a mic by the.
PJ?
Well, unless you're gonna project well enough. Go ahead.
Yes.
Gustavo, you wanna?
It's not only available, it is there by design. It has been there for a long time. And it takes you, you know how many clicks it takes to configure that feature? 0.
Not even the one. You know, confidently put up the one and here 0.
One was
Wonderful.
too hard.
Yeah, one is too high.
One is too high.
And I think if you need to prioritize, you can also do the prioritize as some options there in the Nutanix platform. Yes, we can prioritize workloads, files. And by the way, elaborating a little bit more on your question, we even have features to allow you to archive. If you have a huge file server, you want to archive to S3 or to a dedicated cluster with a bunch of cheap mechanical drives, we have all those tiering mechanisms ready for you.
So basically, there's storage policies you can create, right? Certain workloads, maybe it's by time or size or duration or what have you, you can put policies in place for the automatic tiering of storage, or you can manually do it as well. Kind of your call. Yeah.
All right, we're open to questions from the floor as well, which doesn't have to be related to this, but as in the storage question, but any other, whether it's something that David or Gustavo had presented on and you wanted some clarity, or something else that has emerged in the meantime. So just so you know, we can take the mic there. I'm taking another one. Top issue, data integrity validation. No, I don't know if that's anything different than what you've talked about before, but any if it is, just repeat. I don't know if it's, I'm not saying you, Ondel.
No.
Anyone can take. That's an issue that persons have, or long periods of time collecting, collating, and processing data. Also a whole data issue there.
Okay. So data integrity first.
Oh, you're going to take it. Great. Ondel, more. Go on.
Ask any questions. We have Ondel here to answer
Right,
all of them for
everything.
you.
When it comes to data integrity, one of the things that you want to know is that when you store your data, that same data is actually retrievable. So one of the things that you want your platform to do is to actually check to make sure that the data is the same data that you stored originally, and continues to do that as it operates. Another thing that comes with data integrity is as I manipulate that data, can I actually audit what happens to that data? So you also want your platform to be auditable, to have almost like a breadcrumb trail as to what has happened to your data. And of course, when it comes to your data as well, you want to actually preserve it, meaning that you want to be able to back it up, or you want to be able to, as well as you want to be able to restore it. So as it relates to those three aspects, the Nutanix platform actually covers that without you knowing. As Gustavo always says, it's zero effort. It's built into the platform to make sure that the data is always at its highest integrity.
If I can ask a follow-up, how does it handle retention policies as well? Can it be applied on the Nutanix platform and then automatically govern the deletion, the storage, the migration of data?
All right, I'll pass it on to Gustavo.
Okay, Gustavo, I see David nodding enthusiastically.
Yeah.
Maybe David. should
David,
take
you
it.
wanted to say something? I'll go after you.
All right.
So data retention, as policies, as David said, we can create policies, data storage policies, data retention policies. So very simple things like my main production cluster, I want it to be recoverable for 7 days locally, right? So that's a very simple, a few clicks policy you can have. You can protect your data or your applications every hour, every minute, every 24 hours, up to you. Now, the remote side may have a different policy. So you can have a data retention policy of 1 month there, 1 week here, and long-term with backup solutions, you can have X number of years. So all those policies are fully configurable by you, whether it's in our own platform or with the backup vendors out there. I don't know if that's what you were referring to. Yeah, retention policies.
Look, data is a nuanced and layered topic. Okay, it's like an onion. You want layers of protection with the data, starting from hashing and basically doing checksums to make sure the data is accurate. That's sort of the bare minimum, continuously doing that. Then you have other things like RF2, where you have multiple copies of the data. You can do RS3 or 2 or 3 copies of the data. Then you can do protection with DR and so on. So there's multiple layers of protection you have with Nutanix to sort of ensure that the data is what you want when you want and it's not compromised. Right. There's also ransomware detection. I don't know if you didn't really touch on that, Gustavo, but there's also on the files, there's ransomware detection, signature anomaly detection, that sort of stuff. So, data is probably the most important thing in any business, right? If your data is not accurate, or compromised, you can't run the business, right? And so we take it very seriously. I'll actually go on record here as saying that, we have, Nutanix in this 10 years I've been here, we have no instance of losing data. Data has been lost. This has been done by customer error. For example, I deleted a VMDK. It's gone, right? Didn't back it up. There's nothing there. So what we actually that coined is an innovation of like the trash can in Apple. So VMDK now goes into a trash can, so you can actually retrieve it. As opposed, it's gone forever. So things like that are how we build a product up based on customer actions.
Yeah, now we have a recycle bin for virtual machines.
There we
Right?
go.
That's what
Okay, there's a, this one looks a little bit like another data question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway, just in case it's different. Forgive me if I don't get it as quickly. Encryption of data at rest, okay, data at rest and in transit, and identifying management, data protection management as a service. Oh, okay.
I think before we answer this one, I believe in your previous card, there was a
Second
part
part?
we didn't cover. I think you mentioned long processing
Oh,
times.
well, long periods of time collecting,
Yes.
collating, yeah, processing.
Obviously, we need more details on that one, but typically that refers to an application or database not performing correctly, right? So I remember one of our largest customers in Puerto Rico, they came to us. They are the cloud vendor that created a software as a service that serves every single pharmacy in the United States. When you go to a pharmacy, you get a prescription. That prescription transaction goes through their cloud service. And if it takes more than a second, they are penalized. And they had challenges to keep those transactions down to under a second. When we came in, we came under to promise to improve those transaction times. They went from 1.5 in average to under 0.7 seconds. When you use platforms like this that are designed to be high performance by design, when we use technologies like Flash and VME and then Nutanix software in combination with those long transaction times go from here to nothing. So it's a benefit you will pretty much get automatically once you embark into the Nutanix platform. Obviously, designing, architecting, and sizing correctly is very important.
All right, so for the company that has that, here's your solution. Problem solved. Encryption of data. Data at rest and data in transit.
I think we covered that, right?
You
And
did.
we have software-based, hardware-based, key management system, all built into the platform, whether you want to encrypt this or that, or the whole platform is already there. And again, we have it as part of the platform. So we kind of covered that.
All right, I think maybe this one was also,
Yeah, I
Sure.
think just to add on the previous comment that Gustavo mentioned, we had a challenge where our database was not performing, and we worked with Gustavo to make sure that performance was already tweaked for
So
that platform.
when you say not performing, can you give us an idea of what do you mean by that? It means
So,
what was happening or not happening?
so we were seeing that our check-in, check-out processes were taking some time, and our time to get the customer out was taking basically. So we worked with Gustavo, and we had that figured out, that there was some fine tuning that needs to be done on the database side as well. So we worked on that basically. So.
All right, to get yourself a solution there. Here, it's a question I have for you, Harry. Okay, so you know the problem you wanted to solve, and you figured out Nutanix and David's pitch of database in a box. What happened? Like, tell us what your team is experiencing now.
Right, so our team implemented the solution, and the expectations were met. And given where we were at the time, we are literally in the process of making architecture design decision. How much do we go further into our data center? How much do we leverage the benefits of the public cloud? Because as it was said before, it's really a toss-up.
Right.
And then that deals with the availability, right, and disaster recovery. And it's a really tough decision, because you're looking on where data should be domiciled for privacy purposes. And there's a trust issue, no matter how much safeguards are there, that some countries will never store their own data in another territory, meaning there's a inherent mistrust of the public cloud. So we also have to be cognizant of who our clients are. Do they want their data to be stored outside of this jurisdiction? Conversely as well, if you take the public cloud out of it, Jamaica is a very small island nation. So you may have a primary data center, backup data center, and a tertiary, right? So primary, secondary, and tertiary. And then in a very worst case scenario, you experience something like that happened in Haiti, about 2011, I think, right? Earthquake, we're on the same fault line. So it's not impossible to visualize that scenario where you could lose all your local data centers. So obviously for a business like ours, where financial institutions are regulated, we also have that obligation, not just to the clients and the business, but the financial sector at large, to ensure that our operations can survive such a disaster. So then the public cloud becomes immediately attractive, right? So where we are now, it is that seeing that Nutanix is ideally the perfect partner for the data center. We're now seeing, even from today, and we'll be meeting with them, obviously, as time goes on, to see that they also now can merge the access and control of our information in our data centers to what we're now migrating to the cloud. So we're pretty much happy with how things are going on, and we want to explore that partnership further along.
Right. That was a Guardian way of asking you how much more billions Burita made from the Nutanix. It's okay. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, we can't reveal.
Sure, you can't. We won't tell anybody in a hurry. We'll keep it to ourselves. David, is there a right time to go to the cloud or adopt a cloud operating strategy?
Yeah, it's a common question, and I think it's also, there's no pat answer, because the answer is it depends. I think I think for some companies, going all into public cloud is the right answer. Sorry. And I think for some companies, especially highly regulated ones, staying on-prem is also the right answer. Most enterprise companies are actually not on a journey to the public cloud. What they're actually trying to figure out is what's operating model I have where I can make use of both with seamless tooling to do that. And I think the time to think about it is now. And you really approach it from a business outcome standpoint. And you will know if your customers are complaining, or your app development is slow, or you're not driving customers out of your operation, something's wrong. Something's wrong. That's kind of the burning platform. I need to do something different. And so, the time to figure it out is now, not when your competitors have already figured it out for you, because then it's usually too late. Right? I have this notion at work where I have this I talk about drivers and passengers in my organization, right? Drivers and passengers are the same in that they both get to the destination at the same time, but drivers do all the work.
Right.
And so passengers, they just kind of suck all the energy out of an organization, and you want to get rid of them. And so I was at my, I'm cold-blooded when it comes to that, right? So you want to sort of find out who they are early. And I was given this, this sort of speech at one of our new hire training, and H is like, you can't say that. And of course I can say that. And I can't say that. And so one of the guys, new hires came to me and said, David, I love your speech about drivers and passengers. How do I know if I'm a driver? I said, I don't know, brethren, but you better find out before I do.
Right.
Okay. And I think the same thing for this journey. You have to find it before somebody else does. This is the right thing for you to do. So that sense of urgency and tempo and cadence, you have to find it. You have to do it, right? If you ever find that, look, here is a dark underbelly of success. It's called complacency. I'm number one, people buying my stuff, everything good. Why would I change? Success actually makes you less willing to innovate, not more willing to innovate. It's actually quite contradictory, Growth creates complexity. Complexity is a silent killer of growth, not a paradox. Life is about managing paradoxes.
I thought we were going to talk about technology. I'm going to take another question here. David, you were going to say something? No? All right. Here's a very direct question about a competitor, I think. Is Nutanix compatible with Azure Slack? Is that what it is? Azure Stack. Oh,
Azure
Stack. Oh,
Stack.
Yes. Yes or no? That's a yes or no question. That's the question. And what are the advantages of using traditional server? What's this bad, do you think? Server, is that?
Server HD versus Nutanix,
Right.
I guess.
Yep.
My short answer to the Azure Stack question is Azure Stack is Microsoft's attempt to bring their public cloud on premise. I think David Sangster made an example about AWS is the king of public clouds, and they're like, oh, I need to figure something out to do something on prem, right?
Okay.
So that's Microsoft's attempt as well. Very far from us, I think, but it's an attempt. It's awful.
Okay, so I hear that, but I'm thinking the question was about your compatibility, given that you're saying you can go all over the place. So can you?
In terms of compatibility, that will be a more complex question because we need to know what exactly they mean. But as I said before, we run today on Azure. We can run on Azure, so we are fully compatible with Microsoft and most of their solutions.
Right.
But Azure Stack, again, is an attempt to bring Azure on-premise
So there are
and to
some-
keep you locked into Microsoft ecosystem, which is what we are avoiding.
It's just a competing IaaS stack that they brought on-prem. Look, think about this almost like as different companies are on two sides of the train tracks. Okay,
Yeah.
let me go back to the IO voice over IP and internet wars, right? So you had Cisco on one side, internet, and you had Lucent Telecom on the other side, and they both wanted voice over IP. But who won? Right? IP won because it's an open system, right? It's all win. And now you have the cloud guys coming to try find hybrid, and you have on-prem guys trying to figure it out as well. Who's going to win? Well, generally open systems win. Okay, and so as Gustavo quite really pointed out, everybody wants to lock you into their technology stack. Okay, and in this case, I personally lock-in is bad, right? I would look, you accept the value of lock-in if the benefits outweigh the costs. And I think trying to lock into a stack, that's all they're trying to do, right? It's a competing IaaS stack. You can use Azure Stack if you'd like, in which case we're not using Nutanix, but you will lose a lot of the benefits we talked about, the portability, single operating system model, et cetera. So these are the things you have to consider as you're thinking about it. They will paint a great picture for you, but the reality doesn't usually match the hype.
Yeah, I wonder if the question was born out of the fact that maybe the person already has this and, by some company decision, and they're trying to figure out, I wonder if I could use yours as well and get over this, which, as you said earlier, maybe you need more conversation to figure out what's really going on there. But I wonder if that's it. I have that, but maybe I'd love to use yours, and could they work together?
And for the person who asked that question, we have great materials we can share with you comparing platforms and with check marks and do's and don'ts.
I think what is important though is looking at it from not a technical point of view, but as David said, from a more business point of view. Because if you're going to use Azure Stack on-premise, then what does that leave you with? That means Azure in the cloud. If you're going to use AWS's version of that, I think it's called Outpost or something like that, then you're looking at AWS as your public cloud option. But what if you, at some point in time, as Gustavo alluded to, expect the unexpected. So therefore, what if you needed to operate across multiple clouds? What do you do then? So if you have a platform on-premise that not only works by providing different hypervisor choices, different hardware choices, and provides the same services that you get in the public cloud, and then allows you to not only use Azure, but also allows you to use AWS and coming soon other clouds, then when you think about the approach from a business point of view, then it makes sense to go Nutanix.
Look, I will just say this, right now, these are architectural decisions companies are making.
Right.
Okay, Nutanix has bet its existence on hybrid cloud. We believe that the openness and the choice of different clouds is a winning answer. The market will let us know if we made the right call or not. Okay, but I'll let you know that the lock-in option over the long run usually doesn't win. Usually open systems win in the long run.
You have a question there?
Trading
Trading.
in.
So meaning that if you have old Nutanix and you want to do new Nutanix, okay, then it's just about the hardware, because the software is the software. So it's really about us evaluating what generation hardware you have, and then we actually discuss it with Nutanix to come up with what is a newer model and what's the transition for you. So not a problem.
All right, do we have any more questions from the floor?
Comment? No? Okay.
And that's where you have the flexibility, because hardware really is just the platform on which the software runs. So Nutanix is a software company, not a hardware company.
Yes.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons we selected Nutanix as a platform is because of the fact that the flexibility that Nutanix provides us. Like Gustavo has showed us in presentation, that all flexibilities between choosing the hardware, choosing the hypervisor, choosing the cloud itself, those flexibilities is where we selected the Nutanix platform. So,
We have a December 1, 2023 for the Data Protection Act in Jamaica to be, what's the word? In the law, you're right, enforced. You're right, it's law, but you have until December 1 next year for the enforcement. If you were to track a sort of a preparedness for business, Ondel, I'll ask you for Jamaican business. I mean, anyway, well, yeah, maybe Ondel more so than the others. Where do you think businesses should be right now? This is June 2022, so they have 18 months or so to go
I think
with the data.
I think for most customers, the first thing that they need to do is to understand what the Data Protection Act actually requires. And in speaking with C-suite, even legal to some extent, I think that they don't have a full grasp of what is going to be required when the law actually is enforced. And it's not too long from now, 18 months. So if they have not gone through to define what is my data, where's my data, how do I protect my data, what is sensitive, what is not, what is private, what is what we call classified. If you have not gone through a data classification exercise, if you have not gone through to sensitize and to educate the staff as to what data privacy is all about, then that's where you should start, first. But then after that, how do I actually implement solutions for data privacy? That's a little bit different from even data security, but they come hand in hand. So a lot of security officers are trying to be privacy officers, and it doesn't really work that way. So one of the things that you really have to take into consideration is legal and regulatory teams, the IT team, and of course the business. They have to come together and to see how do we operate in this environment? What data needs to stay resident in Jamaica as a result of the law, and what data can we actually have outside of Jamaica? Which jurisdictions are actually compatible? And I think that's the biggest question that is out there right now in terms of, besides Jamaica, are there any compatible jurisdictions as it relates to the law? That's something that will be debated. That's something that will be discussed. And of course, as Harry said, Jamaica is small. So how do you protect your data if you only have it within Jamaica? So we do need to find answers to things like that.
Yep. Hello? Hello?
I think
Turn
you
it
need
on.
to press it.
Is it on?
Oh, can you turn on
Hello?
the floor mic?
We
Go
turn-
ahead now.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. you should
Yeah.
be-
Oh, okay, good. Thanks. I actually just wanted to add a little bit on that. The data protection. In addition to what Honor is saying, more as well, is that who has access to the data? Who has rights? What changes are being done to the data? And just in my mind, it comes back to something that Gustavo said a little while ago. What do you know about your file server? Apart from just how much storage you're using, you don't know. And that's one of the big fears that businesses have now. How am I going to comply when I don't know what I have? I have no visibility. I don't know if you can speak.
So we have to comply with the fact that data is going to be here, right? If I understand this correctly. So now we are challenged with how to properly protect that data. Don't you wish your data itself, let's talk about the file server again. Don't you wish your file server would be able to detect abnormal behaviors? We always think about ransomware. Yes, we must protect against that. But it's not always ransomware. Think about an unhappy customer, an unhappy employee. That's a disaster per se. Right? I do something wrong at work today. I know they are about to fire me. I come to the office and I start deleting files like crazy. I'm unhappy. That's a disaster. Doesn't have to be ransomware. Doesn't have to be the hacker working in the basement. It could be just a simple employee unhappy deleting files.
Right.
By the way, Gustavo deleting 1,000 files in less than an hour as an abnormal behavior. And guess what? Nutanix will catch that, detect it, block it, and report it automatically for you. Those kind of things you need to have. If we are going to keep the data local, under my control, I better be prepared with artificial intelligence and machine learning, protecting, monitoring my data all times, and of course with high availability within Jamaica all times.
All right, we have a question there.
Another quick question. All right, Gustavo, you had mentioned that you see Nutanix as becoming
Can you
more
hold
like
up
an
the mic?
OS. Yes, in the public space and from private perspective. Could you say now?
Sorry, we're not really hearing you. You might have to hold up the mic.
Oh, sorry, yeah, man.
Better,
Okay, much better. All right, great. All right, so as you mentioned before, you see Nutanix becoming like an OS in the space now that we're working in. Could you say, with your increased exposure and increased scale, that you've been probed or attacked more in terms of the platform itself? No, I understand that my data is secure and I'm happy with what we have. But what about the platform itself? Do you see malicious entities now looking at Nutanix as, hey, this thing is coming on stream, should we probe and see what weaknesses are there?
Short answer is absolutely every platform, yes, will be attacked, right? It would be a lie to say no. What I can say, and we are super proud of it, is every attack we have seen, customers of ours who have been attacked, typically the Nutanix components are the only ones who have survived the attacks. So we are super proud of it, but I will never lie saying we have never been attacked or I don't expect us to. Yes, we will. But again, that's what we are, secure platform by design, to be ready for those attacks. And when the vulnerability comes, you have the peace of mind that one click will allow you to patch that platform immediately without having to wait days or months.
The number one problem with security is people. It's not technology. The weakest link you have in technology is people. From something as simple as my systems aren't patched or updated. And in many cases, that's because it's so hard to do the updates. It takes so long to do the updates. This is where the one-click upgrade becomes really important. It actually allows you to keep the systems patched and current, which is probably the single most biggest problem you have in terms of, having people compromise the system. But the other side of this is, I run supports. I know all the cases going on. Right? Nutanix systems have been attacked by ransomware and by social media, by social, engineering, right? That's a people thing again. It's not a Nutanix thing. It's just it can happen in the system. But one of the things I will also encourage you to do is Nutanix used to ship with default passwords. I think up to about 2019 or maybe 20, standard default password. You can find it online if you're so inclined. And many people didn't change their passwords. And so if a hacker is now saying, oh, Nutanix isn't interested, let me see if, and they find people haven't changed their password and off they go. Now we're shipping with, a password that's unique to each system, but all the systems that are not changed or patched, those are vulnerable. It's not a Nutanix thing, that's a people behavior thing.
The platform can help, right? Now we send not warning, but red alerts when you have not changed your password.
That's right. So
we are reminding you every single day. But as David Sangster said, it's about us. It's not only a technology. We have to do our thing, our due diligence.
David.
Can I go? Yeah. Another little question.
Before we move on to the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that most organizations don't actually practice is what we call vulnerability management, detection and response. And that goes across not only the Nutanix platform, but everything, networking, whatever it is. And you need to have systems in place or controls in place to actually detect vulnerabilities. One, report them and actually deal with them in terms of patching or upgrading, whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, and just to further lay on top of that, every organization who wants to survive needs to have a business continuity plan. That is not just a plan written on paper, it's tested, okay, frequently, okay? And I can guarantee you that if I look in this room, I can guarantee there's three categories, right? People who don't have a business continuity plan, people who have written on paper and never tested it, people who have it and maybe tested it one time 2 years ago. Okay? I can guarantee almost everyone in this room does not have a current business continuity plan that they know and is guaranteed to work in response to a cyber attack. And if you hold on to that, your business is at risk, my friend.
Challenge
Right
him. Challenge him that he's wrong. Or not. David, go on.
Just so you know, I'm not always right. But,
One more
but I'm
thing
never wrong.
David,
No,
sorry, Irfan, go on.
So one of the other myths around the cloud is secure. Everyone thinks that cloud is secure as well. But same principles apply in the cloud as well. You need to follow those vulnerability management and all the patch management, all the standards and stuff like that on the cloud as well. So the principles still apply on there as well.
So it's not just get the cloud, a public cloud solution, and then you're good. You still have to be vigilant with your own systems, policies, actions.
You still have to audit it. You still have to harden it. You still have to scan it. It's not secure. They will not do it for you.
Yeah.
So you still have to do it.
Cloud security is a shared model, right? They own the IaaS, the patching and so forth, and then you own the apps.
Got it.
Okay, security of the apps, and you've seen things like a EC2 instance, password unprotected. That's not a cloud thing. That's on you.
And then talking about patching again, if I am still running a 3-tier legacy model with SAN and servers, even if you know there's a vulnerability that the vendor has addressed in patch level, whatever, how do you go and patch your SAN? Raise your hands if you can patch your SAN right now with the latest firmware update or Flare code is available. Who will do that?
In less than 1 day.
That's just never gonna happen. Yeah. Spend days or weeks validating, testing, getting your team ready to patch that thing. That's one thing we eliminated.
So I slightly off but related. Just talking about that great virtualization software, VMware. I recently read where they got purchased by Broadcom. I just wondered if you had any thoughts on what that would mean or could mean that you might want to share.
I'm actually curious from a customer perspective of those of you who are currently VMware customers. What are your thinking on that?
Yeah, recently saw that news, and it is unclear if Broadcom did that acquisition with a view to expand and maintain VMware services, or to kill it for some other reason, or to transform it into something else. So the longevity of the relationship with VMware is definitively in question. And that happens for any acquisition that occurs where you maintain a relationship. So there's an era of uncertainty, which will become clear, which for us means we have to have flexible platforms that allow us to migrate from one infrastructure, whether it's a hypervisor operating system, to some other platform
If you're
effectively.
dissatisfied, right.
So if I can just add some commentary. Yeah, some commentary. Broadcom is an extraordinarily well-run company. Okay, their market cap of 230 billion did not happen by accident. Okay, they are a very acquisition-minded company. Okay, and a lot of their growth has come through acquisitions. They have a standard playbook that they run with acquisitions. It's based on what they call a private equity type of framework. So if you look at the details of the deal, they bought VMware for, I think, 60 billion, give or take, and they took on 30 billion in debt. And so their goal is to get rid of that debt as quickly as possible. VMware's EBITDA is about 4.5 billion per year, and they've said, I'm going to make it 8 within 2 years. And there's only one way you can do that. 2 ways you can do that. You raise prices and you reduce costs. Okay. They have a standard playbook with every acquisition that they bought, whether it's CA or Symantec. They have raised prices anywhere from 100% to 400%. They cut investments in R&D and in support. If you're a Broadcom shareholder, you should buy Broadcom because they will use VMware and they will drive EBITDA up. It's a great outcome for shareholders. The outcome for customers is less clear.
Okay.
And I can say this from my previous years as a VMware consultant and also as a VMware customer where I started my career. The only one word I have about this acquisition is I'm sad.
You're sad.
I'm sad.
Yeah. All right, David, you good? Question. I have a final comment from someone who shared a top issue, which we can, I'm going to also issue an invitation. If I have a Nutanix platform, can I test the files and objects before committing to buy?
Absolutely. If you are on the Nutanix platform, we have a free tier where you can test files. It's not a trial, it's a permanent up to certain capacity functionality, all there available. You can turn it on, you can let us know, engage us. We can turn it on for you if you want. If you're afraid of a few mouse clicks it takes, yes, it's already there. There's a free tier for both services.
Good. There's one other option too. So there is also, if you're not a Nutanix customer and you want to kind of kick the tires, there's something called Test Drive, okay, which is a digital experience for Nutanix. You can try objects and COM and pretty much all of our portfolio free online. So you can kick the tires there as well.
If you go to the Nutanix.com website, it's right there on the main page. There's a test drive big button where you can play with the platform whenever you want online.
All right, just before I allow each panelist to give a final comment about the transformation of business, leveraging the cloud for business transformation. I think we still have some more spaces. You have a question, please? Yes.
Can you just tell us a little bit more about the analytics of the file data, and also tell us a bit more about migration from current platforms, the traditional server, to Nutanix?
In terms of migrations, we made it easy. Let's say you're running a traditional 3-tier VMware or Hyper-V environment, something like that, and you want to move to us. We have a tool designed by Nutanix called Nutanix Move. That's hence the name.
Nutanix Move?
Move, yeah. It's an amazing tool. It keeps your old environment in sync with the new one without disrupting anything. You're still running in production. And when you are ready for the final cutover, you push the button for one machine or a group of machines or all of them at once. We power them off, final sync, turn them on here. We leave the original ones intact, of course, so you can test here. If you happen to have to roll back, everything is there. So we made it super easy for you to migrate. Even from cloud, Move also supports migrating from cloud to Nutanix on premise, which is amazing.
Yeah, so we've done that for data center migration. We've done it from on-prem to cloud migration, done it from cloud back to on-prem. So it's a very flexible tool that allows you to kind of figure out, where you want to move your workloads. Now, you also asked the first question, it's about file analytics. I don't know, maybe you want to touch base on that. It's the data about the data question.
Yeah, that's data about the data, right? Like I said, it's audit trails, file aging, file types. Let's say you want to block MP4 videos in your organization. We can block them for you, or we can simply report on them. Maybe, I don't know, David comes to me asking for 1 more terabyte of storage, and I go to the file server, I notice that David's share has not been accessed in a year or so. Anyway, file aging, file types, file behaviors, abnormal behaviors, ransomware detection, it's all there, what we call data about your data. So analytics is part of our files offering, Nutanix Files we call it, which is our built-in file server, natively running on Nutanix. But very important to mention, if you're thinking, how do I move from my traditional Windows file server to Nutanix Files? What is the customer experience gonna be? How is it gonna change? It is fully transparent. You're using Windows shares, Windows folders, NTFS permissions control, Active Directory integration, all that is gonna be exactly the same. What's gonna change is what you have under the hood and all the visibility you as an administrator will have into your data.
I think Raul was asking about, can you migrate a Windows file server to a Nutanix? Is
Oh,
there a
yeah.
tool?
Yeah, moving to we have our own tools, and there's some very old, I still love, like a robocopy command line tool. Those kind of things are useful, but we also have tools to help. And when we migrate, we bring not only the files, of course, permissions, ownership, attributes, all that.
Yeah, I just want to also, migration can be complicated. Sometimes it's not quite as simple as here's move and I'm done. Sometimes you need professional service to kind of think through it and help with that as well. So most things, it depends, right, on what you want to do. Sometimes there's an easy button and sometimes there's not.
Yeah. If you're not running a virtualized platform, it gets a little bit more complicated. So if you're running physical servers or anything else. So it's something that we work through, but I can tell you, it's a whole, a lot less pain with us than without us.
All right, and so connected to that, I wanted to know if we still have space for the boot camp tomorrow at Jam Pro. That's on Trafalgar Road, and it starts at 9. Bring your laptops tomorrow. And what are some of the things that are going to happen there, Ondel? Do you know, or David?
It's going to be a hands-on experience. Everyone will have access to a Nutanix cluster, not your own, where we will be able to play, destroy, test all the features. We will be experiencing file servers, some of the microsegmentation security I explained today, and the autopilot features, the automation features that I described, also will be covered tomorrow. It's a hands-on experience, not a lot of PowerPoint. It's more touch and play.
All right, bring your laptop. It's 9 o'clock, and we have some more space. You have to register, so tell me where they register. Go to your website.
Do we still
Okay,
have
so
any
if it's in your
capacity?
email, yeah. You have a question? Oh, WhatsApp. Sorry, the Zoom.
Does the system support Windows DFS?
Windows.
Yes. So Windows DFS is supported, absolutely yes. And in terms of free, I mean, our hypervisor is included at no additional cost with our platform. For
Yeah.
anyone wanting to play with Nutanix at home with their own machine without having to pay a cent for it, there's what we call Nutanix CE, Community Edition. There's a whole portal and a lot of information on Community Edition. You can Google Nutanix CE. And that's free software, obviously not intended for production use, which you can play with, run it on a laptop or an old server, whatever you have in the corner, use it there, play with it. And yes, it comes with our hypervisor as part of it.
Yeah, is there another question? From Zoom? No? Okay, no. Okay. All right. You should have received the invitation, and you can register to participate in the boot camp. As I said, we still have some more space, and you'll get to do all of what Gustavo just described for tomorrow. So
So we still have space?
Yeah, we still have space. So if you're there in your mind right now, come touch and feel tomorrow and then get further there. Test drive. Oh, plus you can sign up right at the table today. Now. Well, not now, because I'm gonna close and then when you're leaving. Just I'm gonna ask each of our panelists to offer some final comments to our guests today.
Okay. I'm just gonna repeat something I already said. My closing comment is, do not be afraid to transform yourself as an IT director, executive, or administrator into that cloud provider. You know, transform the organization, transform yourself. Our roles have changed. We are not the guys putting out fires anymore. That is a thing of the past. Be that guy or department who brings value to the organization. I don't want to see IT seen as a necessary evil anymore. We are value providers. We bring value to the business. The only way to do this, transform ourselves. I'd said, become your own cloud provider and prove how valuable IT can be for the business.
I think you do have to take the risk, and you do that with proper planning, proper design, and keep it simple. And with those thoughts, you can make it happen.
Yeah, and Irfan, you are planning to have Nutanix go across the region, I understand. You started in Jamaica, but your plans are, you're that confident.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Harry?
Right. Just to consider, right, the partnership that you have with, who you're selecting to help transform your business. For us, Info Exchange has been a valuable partner, right? It does not matter to me from a personal level, from my experience, only how good a platform is, but the service that you can get. I remember calling David Allen, because there are so many Davids here, I have to clarify. And I think he was on a boat on a Sunday night.
A likely reality.
And
for
I
David.
said,
Carry on.
David, we have an emergency, right? And I need your help ASAP. And him said, all right, when I come off the boat, I'll give you a call. And he called around 12:14 a.m., right? And we value that partnership. And that's not a one-off scenario, right? So I mean, here we're focused on Nutanix, right? But as much as the cloud is proliferated across, businesses and the tech companies are using it and everybody's transforming into that space, just consider the partnerships that bring that technology to you and their availability and commitment to communication.
The choices that we make today will either set our companies back a decade or will allow us to be the companies of the future. And every boardroom today is talking about cloud. And I think that it is within our permit to actually educate the boardroom about what is cloud. Cloud is not a destination, it's actually an operating model. So you have to find a way to show them the path, show them the way forward as to what is the right operating model for your company. And one of the things that we also have to understand, as Gustavo said as well, is that the IT team, IT security, networking, all of that handles the operations of the business, you're now fundamental to its success. And it's going to be, and it's very important that you actually, the business actually looks up to you and looks towards your actual input in terms of how the business will operate going forward and how it will succeed. Because software is eating everything. Technology is the way forward, no matter what industry. So CIOs, CISOs, I guess the COOs are included. It is very important that you are drivers of the business and not passengers.
So, nice segue to you there, David.
Okay.
Nice segue.
You sound like a driver. you know, IT has never been frothier these days. And by that, I mean, 30 years ago, you knew the answer was buy a 3-tier, buy a server from server vendor, buy a storage from whatever, get a 5% switch, and that's it. But now you have so many choices, right? Public cloud, bring your own device, edge. What do you do? And I talked to a lot of CIOs and VPs of IT in my travels, and I asked them, what's your 5-year roadmap? And the honest ones tell me they're not really sure. Those are the ones who are honest. Then they asked me, David, what do you think? I said, why, my crystal ball is no better than yours. Here's what I do know. I do know that in times of uncertainty, optionality is very important. It's probably the most important thing that you want to have. And that's what Nutanix has been built on, is optionality. We never tell you how to run your business. That'd be precocious of us. We give you the tools and the choices and optionality to run your business the way you see fit. That's one of the things that we built, one of sort of the pillars I built the company on was about choice and optionality. Other one is around simplicity. And think about this, certainly in the US, I'm not sure to what extent in Jamaica, but in the US, we have a hard time hiring and keeping people. There's this great resignation going on. People are changing jobs left and right. And if your systems require a PhD to run it, you're going to be exposed because you can't find the talent. And so simplify, look, you can either simplify the tech or train up the talent. Those are only two choices. And we've chosen to simplify the tech. That makes you somewhat immune to turnover because a new person comes on board, they can get up to speed pretty quickly. That's the second pillar. Third pillar is one of innovation, right? And we crank out releases on innovation like every quarter, something new, something better, something different. And that lowers your risk in regards to having a stubborn technology there and that's nowhere else. So you lower HR risk, you lower your technology risk, you lower your lock-in risk. And the final thing we, as a pillar, we sort of focus on customer experience. NPS 90 for 7 years now is not an accident. It's also a big differentiator. You spoke about the importance of partnership. And I think that is understated and underappreciated in this. The best ROI of a good technology solution can be undermined by a crappy support and partnership experience. Okay, I think that's people check the box on you have the shiny object deck, but they forget it's day 2 operations that matter. Not the handshake and the dinner we had when we signed the deal. That doesn't matter. It's the day 2 stuff that matters the most. And I think that's something where David has obviously excelled based on customer commentary. And I think Nutanix also takes that close to heart. So, you know, the net of it is keep optionality open, you know, keep simplicity going because it reduces risk, reduces operational risk. And, you know, you have to also sort of take some risk because standing still is not the option, right? You stand still, you get run over, right? So, you know, I look in the room and I see, you know, I see a range of emotions. I see excitement around what's possible. I see concern about what's changing. The truth is that we often underestimate the value of a change when you overestimate the value of status quo. That is a normal human behavior. And I will tell you, if you don't sort of get off that hump, you're not going to last. Right, so you have to have that. I mentioned that courage, that conviction to kind of take that first step. You remember Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom when he was walking over the chasm? See it there? Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Yeah, man. See it there? You have to have that belief that it's going to be okay. I'm going to bring the team along, and together we're going to do amazing things. That's the message for you.
Roll.
What support does Nutanix offer to assess the current environment that they have and how to take it to the next level?
I'm sure David will. You want to take that one?
David, you will take it or Ondale?
Or Andrew?
When it comes to looking at what you currently have and taking it to the next level, all it is a simple discussion with us. For many of the customers that, including yourself, that came up on stage, it's really about what is it that you want to achieve. And when we look at where you want to go, then we together plan a path to go along. One of the things that I think our customers if you want to say love or like about us, is that if you have a goal to achieve in a, sometimes the management says, ridiculous period of time, we might say, boy, it is not impossible, but it will take some effort. And most of the times, if not, I would say, we hate to boast, but quite a bit of the times, we're able to not only meet, but exceed the expectations of our customers. Because whether it's late at night, early in the morning, whatever it takes for us to make sure that the customer's goals are achieved, we are there with you. And Nutanix as well. I mean, we have been working with them for the past 7 years, and we have found that it's the same mentality that they have. And that's why we partnered with them in the first place, that wherever the customer wants to go, within reason, we can take you there.
Just use
Go on.
Yeah, my closing thought.
Yeah.
Just to say that I hope we've earned your confidence and commitment from you as you plan your journey to continue the conversation with us. As just to reiterate, we're there with you, within reason and even beyond. As I've gotten calls, yes, out at sea, from my great loving customers. But yeah, the idea is, let's continue the conversation. I love that commitment from you. Continue the conversation as you make these plans now and in the future.